Oh, dead critters. No, wait, those are wigs.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go.
Good morning, everybody, from my very not private Idaho. I am coming to you from Post Falls, Idaho. I just did the Spokane Antique Show, the Custer's Antique Show, the 47th annual spring show, and it went great. We had a really good crowd. A whole bunch of viewers came to visit, including some people who I'd never met before. It was really fun. They bought some really wonderful things, and it was honestly the best show I've ever done in Spokane. So very exciting and very grateful to everybody who showed up. It was so busy that I did not get to film, but I did get to go live on Sunday morning and showed most of the show. So if you want to see what that looked like, go to the Antique Nomad live channel. It's my sister channel, and you'll be able to see that video there. One of the viewers has a space in one of these locations behind me, and it's not the Hospice Thrift store, but they said, oh, you should check that place out. And yes, Hospice Thrift stores are often very good. Then we're going to go next door to My Favorite Things. A couple of viewers and some other folks I know here have booths here and said they do very well. So we're going to check that out because it's supposed to be a good antique slash vintage slash vendor mall. But first we're going to go to the Hospice Thrift. Here's an old piece. Valley Vista, we don't see a whole lot by them. They were operating in the 60s in California. Old fiberglass ice cream maker. Little piece of Linux for $5. Little Royal Dalton guy. Oh boy, they want $45 for that Fenton piece. That is high. They do have things here. It's nicely organized. Hospice thrifts can be really good because a lot of times the people at hospice just tell the thrift store to take what they want at the end, and so they get some good stuff. However, so far prices are pretty steep here. The farm table with the belly cabinet is not for sale, unfortunately. One of the volunteers owns it. I like these shelves, but they're not for sale either. One thing about a thrift store being right next to a vendor mall is this probably gets picked pretty hard by the vendors in the mall. Well, let's see, we're in the book section here. Pretty contemporary stuff mainly, it looks like. Let's go back into furniture and see what they might have. A sign that says farmhouse. Oh boy, we'll be seeing those at garage sales for the next 20 years. Looks like there's some Egyptian papyrus print here. A lot of these are tourist items from the 60s and 70s. Now the furniture doesn't seem badly priced. I just don't see anything that's really old. I think my favorite thing in the store so far is this lamp. It's got this smoky color. It's only $9.50, and it's got that chrome base and cap, so that's kind of a neat looking piece. I'd have to get a shade. The Eclectic Room, well, I could use an eclectic, so let's see what eclectic means. Looks like it is parts and electronics, phone holders, toys, helmets. It's pretty well organized. I have to say it's a well-kept store, but I'm just not finding anything here. See, again, this is an older piece. It's a decent color. It's $25. I couldn't sell it for $25. And here's something we see at thrift stores a lot. So the last time we saw one of these is in Kentucky, and it was $2, and this one's $2.50. That's reasonable. They're cute, the little strawberry pots. This would sell. I might go ahead and get that. They've got their Christmas out year-round, which makes sense because they've got the space for it. Don't see anything vintage in this. I like the satin blue diamond point by Indiana Glass here, and they have the bowl to match, the grape bowl that they did. But you know, again, it's $15. Not a horrible price, but I'm not going to pop for it. Seems like it's a well-kept shop, and they've got volunteers running everything. That may explain some of the pricing. Sometimes volunteers price things they don't think are interesting very cheaply, and things that they think are cute they price for full retail. Great pattern Westmoreland cake stand for $24.50 wouldn't be a bad buy if you were going to buy it to use. Some old stuff down here. A set of silver plate, an old mixer. I do like the Harker flower pattern rolling pin. It's got the rubber stopper so you can put the cold water in it. It's only $13.50. That's not really a bad deal for those. That probably is worth buying as well. So see, you just have to look around. Sometimes your first impression is, oh, everything's expensive, but then you look farther and you find the deals. Little fish plaque up here for $4.50 is not a bad deal either. Paper mache Easter eggs are $9.50 and $18.50. They look like 1970s versions. Those are my 3 purchases at the thrift store, so we did find some good stuff here. That's an example of why it pays to really look at a thrift store. It's easy to look at a few prices and get the idea that everything is going to be out of your budget. It just depends on who priced the item and what they thought of it. So I did end up with 3 things that I thought were good deals for Reseller and I think will be fun, and especially the rolling pin. That's a pretty good piece from the 1940s. We don't see a lot of those. It's nice that it's got the rubber stopper in it so that you can easily put cold water or ice in it, which was the point, so that you could roll out your pastries and have them not stick to the rolling pin. So that's a good piece. Well, this is definitely one-stop reseller shopping because it's about 30 feet to the next place. So here we go into my favorite things. So this is a vendor mall. You're going to see newer items. You're going to see vintage items. You're going to see antiques. You're going to see things like scented candles. And in this case, I've never seen this in a vendor mall before, fresh eggs from spoiled post-falls chickens. As soon as you get in the door, you're met by this very impressive, handsome oak cabinet with the stained glass. And this is likely to be European because it's got this bullseye in the middle. It's priced at $2,900. It really is a beauty. And then there's a bunch of Imperial glass bicentennial era plates and Fenton collector's plates. And then one old Northwood great piece that actually dates back to about 1910. This is a great chance to show the difference. See the softness and satininess of this particular piece, and then compare it to the glossy, oily look of these later pieces. I think we'll go into this wing first. I see some newer art glass. I do think the bird is Murano. I doubt that the other pieces are. A Eating and Collins flower basket purse down here on the bottom. I'm not expecting it to be cheap, but because it's on the bottom, maybe? Okay, $79. Well, that's not an unfair price. Here's these mannequins that are popping up all over the place, or I should say, fashion heads. They're out there everywhere now. There's something you can order. I will show this. We talk a lot about recently made items and things made in Asia. I believe Franz is made in Thailand, but this is an example of something that's really good quality. It's handmade and they're not copying an existing design. These Franz pieces have been around for some 20 years, some are discontinued, and they are starting to be collectible on the secondary market because they were not cheap new. You notice the cup and saucer and spoon were $79 and the platter $139, and that's because that's about what they cost when they came out. When I talk about Chinese-made things, it's not that they might not be trending, it's possible that they're vintage because we've been importing a lot from China over the last 40 years. I just don't like the reproductions. That's what I want people to steer away from. Anything that's original and interesting and well-made deserves its place in the marketplace. But do we really need fake Little Red Riding Hood cookie jars like this one here that is a very poor representation of the whole pieces from the 1940s? Now this one is real. This is Treasure Craft, the Noah's Ark on the right-hand side there. One of their more famous pieces from the 1970s, and this one's priced at $45. Here's another row of old cookie jars. Shawnee, the Dutch boy here. These are California originals. When you see this orange paint, we see the cottage where in teapots a lot, but here are the egg cups. Those are the Occupied Japan version, which were a knockoff of the Price cottageware made in England. This guy doesn't think very much of being used as an ashtray, does he? There's a lot of cute things in here. It's just such a mix of new and old. You're going to see things by Shannon Crystal out of Ireland, which is not terribly old. And then right next to it is this piece, which is Victorian from about 1890. Mixing new and old is fun. It's just know what you're buying and know what you're paying for. Now these pieces are mostly older Fenton, and they have a really nice selection of the cranberry in the hobnail opalescent. This bowl under here is a Fenton artist signed piece in the plum color, and the plum is a little deeper than the cranberry and a little scarcer as well. Fenton made a lot of cranberry in their time. They have a number of these Lenox ladies. I had a big collection of these. I've sold most of mine, but I did not get $130 for any of them, I'll tell you that. Pretty Fenton piece here. And then these are Austrian. You see a lot of these couples, the ones in blue here, made around 1900. This space shows you how you can really use milk glass to an advantage. A lot of people really bypass milk glass because they just see it as sort of being white. You really want to pop it with other colors. I personally find this a very appealing display. I think having the background makes the white really pop out, and it shows you the quality, because it really is this Westmoreland stuff. It's heavy and thick, and it was well made. Imperial did it as well. You see that piece there. I just think that the way you put it together has a lot to do with it, and also they've included these Kanawha pieces. There's the label on one of them. Notice their hobnails are very round compared to Fenton, and the crimping is not as even. So when you see them without the label, you'll have an idea of who made them. But I like the fact that they mixed in these cased glass where you've got the white on the inside with the color, so then you can see various different ways that the milk glass can be integrated. You've got all the hunters, and they are in the cabin getting their decoys ready, and of course there's your Western and Winchester. So this would have been an advertisement in a sporting goods store or a hardware store. It's only priced at $40, which actually would be a really good deal for this, except it's got some pretty big stains, and that's a bit of a problem. I think I see a 1954 date on it, which, judging by the way they're dressed, seems about right. These old wagon wheel hubs are fun. A lot of people turn them into lamps, sometimes hanging lamps. I've seen people use them in other ways, as vases and things as well. That one's priced at $40, which is about the going rate for them. Well, if you have some of these drab 70s end tables that just are not looking good anymore, painting them up can be a lot of fun, and these actually are very fun colors. Here's a nice collection of Stanglebirds, and I've got to say, the Stanglebirds are not selling for big prices like they used to, but they made some really great ones. Look how detailed the hummingbird with the flower is. And $18. Now this one has some chips, so I guess that's the reason for the price. But all the color is hand painted, so every one of those different colors had to be brush stroked, applied by an artist, in this case an artist identified as MW. There are a few of these that are a little more valuable than the others and still sell for some pretty high prices, and there's some pretty large and complicated ones as well. I have to say, I'm tempted to look up what the hummingbird is selling for now, because to me, that is a lot of work and effort to put into this piece. They also have the chestnut-sided warbler here. This little piece is a Japanese Napco Baltimore Oriole, which was a knockoff at the time. $12 on that. This little Stanglebird here is $14. And then this one is part of a shaker set with a very odd beak. This one is a flower frog. This is likely to be Japanese or Czech. I think Japanese, looking at the bisque ceramic in that dull gray. The golden trout shakers are $12. Those sell really quickly. And then there's a Hakata doll with a Soroban, which is the Japanese abacus. And it's got the tatami mat, which a lot of these were supposed to have, so finding them with the mats does make a difference. This very garish waitress painted on plywood by somebody came from a cafe in Rockford, Washington. She's fun. The McCoy Bobby Baker is a popular cookie jar. That one's priced at $45. Here we have one of these 70s owls with the felt eyes for $14. It's so funny to me that those are collectible now, but I remember them growing up. This Georges Briard has the candle warmer underneath it. $19 seems like a good price, but it is missing a little of the gold, and that is a problem on some of these applied gold pieces. Alcohol would affect it. Sometimes if it wasn't really well fired on, they could just wear right off under your hand. So you really want to make sure that these seem like they're stable and that the gold is well done before you buy if you're intending to use these pieces. It's a Furby. These are collectible now. You were supposed to be able to, this one looks like Chewbacca, of course. You were supposed to be able to train Furby to do all sorts of great things using voice commands, and it would learn to obey you and do what you wanted. Cute little corner shelf here with the white paint on the green. This is going to be about $19.40, $35 on that. Here's a cabinet with the belly bottom that is for sale. This one's $6.50. And look at this beautiful antique picture album with the celluloid insert. It says, "Please handle carefully." I don't blame them. This one has all of the original floral attachments and all the brass, and it's nice. Now we can get a look at her without the glass in the way, and you can see even the original paper in the drawer is still there. This one is really neat, having this elaborate base as well. And then you would open it up, and there would be your pictures. So it's a very pretty piece. I wonder what their price is on this. In good condition, these can be $100. And this one is in pretty good condition overall. Oh, here's our price tag. They are asking $125. You know, that's not outrageous for what it is at all. And I will put this back so the next person also handles it carefully. Look at these fun 1970s enameled and acrylic pins. $18 for the West German one. $8 for this one, but the color is not all there, and that really makes a difference. Let's see what the Christmas tree pin is. That doesn't have a price. This one's interesting with the open work. This one is priced at $10. I like the green with the polka dots, but it's missing whatever jewel it had in its center originally. I mentioned recently that these older Western patterns in cafe ware are still doing well. This is Inca Ware by Shenango. I don't know who XL was. Is the horse XL or the guy? Nice back stamp too, 1950s. $30 on that. The Western style cafe ware really does do well out west here. You know, we can't complain that everything isn't reseller priced, because if it was, then where's the retail market? This I think is cool. Light up lake scene. This is printed on fabric. They did a lot of lamps and things with those types of shades also in the 1960s. $75 is not unreasonable for that. The Dance Coben style for $89. That's a color we don't see, that slate blue, very often, and that's not a terrible price. It's a big piece. These little blue pieces are Morgantown glass from the 1960s and 70s. I always liked their designs. They were very modernist. Russell Wright even designed some of their drinkware. Well, if you're superstitious about umbrellas being opened up inside of buildings, this space might be scary to you. I think it's really cool looking, however. It is primarily full, well, actually it's a mix of things. A lot of vintage fashion, but I can't take my eyes off some of these umbrellas. Look at that one with all the ruffles. I like the ones that are also comics, and Kathy was still being printed then, so we know this has some vintage. Look at this really great one with the poodles. This is a really fun display. The clear one with the flowers is 1970s, and the polka dot one as well. Yeah, this is really neat. I have to say, this is a fun display. I want to buy a bunch of them. I don't think they're for sale, sadly enough. So let's look at the things that we can buy. Oh, here's a pattern I really like. I've shown this once before in my Petoskey video in Michigan. This is $2.89 for all of it, which is a pretty good price. This is Vernon Kilns. They did several different versions of these colors. This one is called Gingham when it's the yellow and the green. And they've got some nice serving pieces. The set of mixing bowls, this tiered tray, the large serving salad bowl here, the butter dish. I mean, it's a pretty complete set. And that is not a bad price at all for it. And here's Vernon Kilns Tickled Pink. This is right after the merger with Metlocks. So it's going to say Vernon Wear by Metlocks on the bottom if we can find a piece that's marked. Oh, they're not always. Let's see if maybe the saucer is. There we go. Vernon Wear. Safe in oven and dishwasher. And that's part of what people like about these old patterns is that they actually can be used like you would use new dishes. A big selection of Avon Cape Cod in the case here. This little wall pocket here is American bisque. It doesn't have a mark on it to tell you, but it has those feet with that tapered shape on the ends. And it's on top of a very cute bird's eye maple chifforobe. It's got that big section here, which would have been for your hats originally. A lot of this was made in New England around the 1920s. And it is a very pretty grain, and it's very specific. The people who love this want entire rooms full of it. I have to say I could live with it. Let's see if there's any interesting jewelry in here. That's kind of nice, the bracelet with the big pink stones. This is German next to it here, West German. Just a very pretty display, the way they have it put together. I like boudoir items because they all sort of go together and you can really assemble them into a memorable and sweet display. These dealers are pretty aware of what they have and they have things priced accordingly. You know, the red coral and turquoise ring and silver there is $49. You know, these are not bad prices for people who are collecting. Now we have a room that is completely different. So let's go look in here. This one has a whole bunch of models. And old models, particularly if they're not put together and in their original boxes, can be money. Particularly when you have the USS Enterprise. Or the old space station here. These are 70s vintage. Skylab from the early 70s. The space shuttle here for $20. Here's a bunch of the old tabs you used to get when you bought the Hot Wheels for 99 cents. They originally came with this little metal pin so that you could wear it and show people what Hot Wheel you had gotten. Of course, most kids just showed their friends what Hot Wheel they had gotten. And a lot of these got thrown away or lost, and so that's why they're worth $5. That's not really a bad price at all if you're trying to put together an original Hot Wheel Redline with its packaging. The Bobcat chasing the wild boars. This is a very detailed diorama. They have it priced at $16.50. We don't see a lot of taxidermy set like this because it takes a lot of room, but if you had a lodge or the right type of area to display something like this, you know, it's a specific taste, but it's interesting and it's done well for what it is. There are collectors for a lot of this era stuff now. This is 1990s into the 2000s, and certain players are definitely worth more money. There's also a whole lot that aren't, so it's something you can either have to get cheap or really study to know what to buy. Zap the Zoomies. More taxidermy. Northern Idaho is definitely a hunting area and a fishing area. An old Seattle Sonics jacket. They haven't been the Sonics for years now. They were shanghaied to Oklahoma City, but this is only $40. And for someone collecting these old vintage pieces, that's actually pretty reasonable. Somebody cut out and made this Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. What a cute set, $150. Somebody spent a long time on those. I'm sure Disney would not have been amused if they found out about them. This celluloid Senorita doll from about 1960 is cute with the little spinning hat. I think she might have been a wind-up originally. I wonder if that still works. Yeah, it actually just seems like it spins around and shakes her around too. This is a nice old Heisey pattern. It's a shame that the top is missing. I think maybe a customer did something to it because we've got broken glass on the shelf there. I'll have to report that to the front desk. And then down here we have one of these messy cases that you know has some fun stuff in it. We've got old playoff tickets for sports teams, an old Stein that actually looks like it might be truly old from Germany. That's a pretty one. I don't see the price on that. Let's see. Oh, it says on the front 110, and it is Metlach. Mettlach, not to be confused with Metlocks of California that did ceramics. And then behind you see some of the old sports pendants, including the old Cincinnati Reds guy with the baseball bat there. And naturally, we're going to see Expo 74 stuff because it was right next door in Spokane, and someone left their footprint there and then walked the 20 miles home to Idaho, I guess. Nice to see some Formica. We used to see Formica tables everywhere, and now they're pretty much in people's homes and collections and happy fun kitchen displays. I don't see the price on this particular one, but the other one I saw here was priced about $125. This is a little different than the usual Royal Copley that we see. This one says chicken feed because it's a bank. And this one is actually not made by Royal Copley either. This one has the patent applied for from Radford, Pennsylvania. Chicken Feed Incorporated. Cute piece though. This is a pretty set here for $35 with the exotic bird. This is Royalite. This is 1920s. Royal Rochester. This is actually by Fraunfelter, China of Ohio, but Royal Rochester and Royalite were a couple of their trade names. They were in business until about 1940. And you notice here, that's how you lift the lid. So if it's hot, well, you don't burn yourself. So isn't that clever? $35 for the set is really a pretty good deal for those. I like the color of this Aladdin lamp, this sort of russet color, but alas, it is missing its finial. That is not the original. The original would have been glass made of similar colors to the glass base. This is fun the way they've displayed this. I like the use of, oddly enough, chicken wire, but look how easy it is to make a wall and yet you can see through it. I like this gal's glasses. She's clearly from about 1920 because it's a convex frame. This is not convex, but it's the same era with the still life of the grapes. This one's priced at $80. Some pretty glass in this case. But again, a lot of this is contemporary. That's why, as neat as this looks, it's only $15.95 because it's just not old. This place really is huge, I have to say. There is a lot of stuff here. This is a very handsome carved Chinese cabinet for $9.50, which seems like a reasonable price for retail for what it is because of all the detail. This is going to be 20th century. Probably early to mid 20th century because of the style of brasses. And look at the very pretty antique cash register, an old national cash register, and $500 is about the right price. A very nice balance scale. Cute antique decoys here. I just sold the Marilyn Monroe calendar. Mine did not have the printed negligee. And we're going to check the condition on these, but at $40 a piece, these Kachina dolls are probably a buy. I know Kat the Nurse Flipper's big into Kachina, and I've bought and sold them over the years as well. This guy's missing one of his rattles, unfortunately. Buffalo Dancer. No, and this one is too. It's a shame. It almost would be better to cannibalize the one to save the other. Antelope Dancer. Because if they had all their pieces, those should sell for about $85 to $100. Hard to believe 10 days ago I was driving by Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Olympia beer, of course, is the former Washington State brand. This one has been marked down to $6. We have some Expo pieces from Spokane, the heart-shaped World's Fair plate. This one, and then this one I haven't seen before. This one's a little more stylized. made by Valletta. Valletta was out of Oregon, and they did pieces for the 1962 Seattle World's Fair as well. They were a small ceramics decorating company. This is a nice piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and open the cabinet to show you. This is a Northwest Regional photographic artist from the 1920s, and a lot of people know some of our Washington artists, but this one is R.H. Mache. You can see the signature. This is 1920s, and it says it's got the history on the back, so rather than me telling you, why don't we just read it together? Title: The Mission Mountains in Mission Valley. Mr. Mache told me he paid the sheep herder $10 to herd this band of sheep in position for this photograph, and then he hand-printed and tinted and framed it. Mache art was out of Missoula, Montana. We also had Norman Edson, and of course the brothers Edward and Ashel Curtis, who worked in Washington. So there's a lot of good early photography in the Northwest by people who were famous. $149 for an original Mache is not an outrageous price. I have a whole set of this Cora Bell to sell as well. They only want $99 for theirs. I'm going to have to lower the price on mine. I think they're right. It's a pretty pattern. This is a nice piece for $129, the Fenton Butterfly Carnival glass pitcher. And they also have the cream and sugar bowl. These are fairly early Fenton pieces. This is pot metal over copper tone, and I think the glass has been replaced, although it is the right shape and style for the original. She looks rather like Chez Gerard. Priced at $229. If the glass was original, that would be a great price for it. This piece is sold. Empire Revival 1890s vintage chest of drawers with the plateau and the two little glove drawers on the top. I wish I could tell you how much it went for. They didn't leave the price tag on. I like to snoop because it gives me an idea of what things are actually selling for in different marketplaces. Here's a Pyrex pattern you don't see very often, and it's a fun one. There's stylized roses. And this was a pattern that was done in England. There are some different pieces of Pyrex from England that were not necessarily made here in the US. And then behind is the Smiley Pig cookie jar by Shawnee with the clovers. It's got a little bit of a chip, otherwise it would be worth a little bit more than the $89 they have on it. Now this is cool. They've got a whole bunch of minerals, and of course minerals are much older than all of us, so they definitely qualify as vintage. Neat piece of malachite here, and various geodes. I am really interested in this pink halite from California. That's a neat looking color and piece. I can see where people get really caught up in this because it's so different. There's different designs and colors and shapes. It's natural, it's organic. It comes from all over the world, so it'd definitely be an interesting area to collect. And then you get into fossils. The fossil coral with the little shell pieces in it, the old Chinese fossil fish, the trilobites, like you see there in the back, that black thing from Morocco. In fact, here's a whole bunch of trilobites. And yellow sulfur. I always think of Vancouver, Canada, because they have piles of yellow sulfur at the docks in North Vancouver that you can see from the city. This lamp is cool. This looks like 1960s or 70s Italian glass with the ribs here. And it is attributed to Flavio Poli. It's priced at $250. And here's a couple of 1980s bird mirrors. They are priced at $14.95 each. Well, one of the folks who worked here said that Donna, who I met, these are her spaces. This is one of our viewers. I like the weeping silver on these salt and pepper shakers. She's got a nice, fun selection of various salt and peppers here, including the Florida souvenirs, which I'd buy in a heartbeat at that price if I was headed to Florida, but I'm out west for my shows. I like this cute silhouette here, too, the reverse painted woman with the Scotty dog. These are by Inarco from the 1970s, and they are very cute little dogs. I guess they would have been to hold napkins or desk items or whatever you like. This Lazy Susan down here is a later piece by California Clemenson's Pottery. They did a lot of pastels in the 50s, and then in the 60s to keep going, there's their mark. They did more brown tones. That's a cute set, priced at $78. And the celluloid boy and girl doll, those are cute. It's neat that they have their clothes. $12.50 a piece on those. Ah yes, Dennis the Menace. Breaking a vase that I'm sure would be very valuable now, and his mother is saying, "That settles it, you're going to be an only child." You know, now that he's been spanked and sent to bed, you've got to admit the kid has a lot of talent. I just think those are fun. I'm going to get those. They're having a big spring sale here on the 21st of May, which I wish I could go to. Well, I am really thankful to the viewer who tipped me off about this place. I had a lot of fun coming here and showing you all of this and seeing it for the first time myself. I found a couple of things, so I'm sure I'll come back here and shop again. In the meantime, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Please do check me out on the social media that you see listed below. And we'll have more fun in the near future from the very interesting world of antiques and vintage. In any event, it's been great being with you, and bye for now.
Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.